1, 2, 3.
Here's the question. The question is this. How can a choral singer, a choral organization, use their art form to be anti-racist, to confront racism in all of its manifestations, to support justice, and to make a difference in our divided world? That question is at the heart of Voices Rising, a choral affirmation of Black lives. Good evening and welcome to this live presentation from the stage of Orchestra Hall in Minneapolis. I'm Steve Starrick. Voices Rising, a choral affirmation of Black lives, features a consortium of 12 Twin Cities choruses, 12 who have created an interdisciplinary program as an ambitious response to the deaths of George Floyd, Daunte, Wright, and others. Their deaths have placed Minneapolis and St. Paul at the heart of our nation's long overdue racial reckoning. Joining me throughout the program will be the artistic curator and conductor of Voices Rising, G. Phillip Shoultz III. He's on stage right now. Tonight's concert is a collaboration with Chorus America. At its center, Chorus America is a national community of colleagues who care about choral music and the choral field. In fact, you can either listen to Voices Rising at your classical NPR or watch it on the Chorus America YouTube channel. It's time to start. Here's the opening piece. It's the anthem We Shall Overcome. The arrangement is by G. Phillip Shoultz III once again. Welcome to Voices Rising, a choral affirmation of Black lives. G. Phillip Shoultz III is the conductor of Voices Rising, a choral affirmation of Black lives. Tonight's program began with his arrangement of We Shall Overcome. Phillip is joining me from the stage of Orchestra Hall. And Phillip, I have to ask, what is your artistic vision for Voices Rising? What was the kernel that brought all this together?
Steve, I wanted to give everybody a recipe for processing this time, an artistic response to this time when we've all been having meaningful conversations and many organizations wondering how can we really enact change. And so the program tonight begins by reminding us that the aspirational goal that we all hold is to overcome, to walk hand in hand together no matter what we look like, where we're from. So to do that, we've got to start by just showing up for each other, saying that if we're concerned, we have to do something, we have to say something, realizing that each of us has that one special gift that if we don't give it, it doesn't add to the change that can be enacted to make the world a better place. And from showing up and showing concern, then we have to lead with love, as our friend Melanie DeMore says. And we think about what love is like in all the ways that love can be revealed and present in our lives. From there, we lead with our dreams. We move from love into dreams. And sometimes our dreams are deferred, and how do we stick with them to then get to action and activism? And what is activism for us as musical organizations? And so we have examples of that. And finally, if we follow this recipe, the idea was that we could all raise up together, rise to the skies together, and be all that we were meant to be as human beings. It's a vision of how we can come together across our differences to respect each other, to appreciate and understand and learn from each other, and then walk hand in hand together, Steve.
I want to, as we're starting this program, bringing this many choirs together, bringing this many artists together, it can't be easy. How did tonight's program come together?
Yeah, the program came together tonight because many executive directors wanted to see something happen together. And you can see it's a live program, which is also adventurous, live at Orchestra Hall in a pandemic. And so we started meeting back in June, shortly after George Floyd was murdered. And those conversations turned from just policies and procedures of our organizations to what can we do together here in the Twin Cities? And so that kernel just took a while to germinate as we processed all the protocols to see how we can make this happen. And so, in short, we've really only been rehearsing for about 2 weeks together now that the space is safe for us to do this. And for many of these singers, it's the first time they've sung in person together all year, which I think is beautiful that we're here together doing this.
Well, let's get started with this next set of pieces. It concludes or includes Concerned from Peaceful Warrior by jazz great Billy Taylor, as well as Love Like Fire by Joe Davis and the Renaissance, along with some spoken word pieces. What can you tell us about the Billy Taylor piece?
The Billy Taylor piece is a part of a larger work written for Robert Shaw honoring Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. And the section that we're singing just reminds us, if we're concerned, we have to show up, we have to speak up, and then we have to take a stand if we really want to change the world. So you can expect some beautiful jazz harmonies and a reflective tone that just invites us into the journey together. And in fact, in just a moment, Joe Davis is going to kick us off with his original spoken word poem about showing up to kind of help get us prepared for that.
This is Voices Rising, a choral affirmation of Black lives. This opening set will also include artists Amani Waters, Travion Dunlap, and Devo.
We were each called to this place, this time and this season. You may not yet know the rhyme or the reason. You may not feel, think, or believe in the same things I believe in. We've been asked to show up. Show up wherever you are from. You can come here to be free. Bring your full selves, both your head and your heart, your hands and your feet, and anything and everything infinitely beyond any duality, your sexuality, gender, race, age, or ability. We all have the ability to be. Without you, I'm incomplete. Without you, there's no we. I need you not just to survive, but to thrive, to come fully awake and alive with potential and possibility. Joining me at the table, for it is wide and there is lots of food to eat. So show up and be fed and feed others, satiating a different kind of hunger, fueling the fire in our bellies. No matter what journey you're on, where you've been, or what you've done, all will be well when we're all welcome to laugh, cry, dance, write, breathe, and bleed into the margins and follow the call into the thrust reaches of who we are. Whether you run, walk, crawl, even if you fall, we fall in love. But just show up. Show up to answer the call to justice, to transform both the soul and the bodily world the soul inhabits. Show up with all your awkwardness and bad habits. Show up with your doubts and with your questions. No one here, you can ask them. Show up with your wounds and your scars. We all have baggage. But know that together, we can unpack them. This is no mistake. You are not here by accident. You are here to share the stories of your sacred passage. You are the only you that ever has been. You are not the magician. You are the magic. So show up to this place here where there is no grace period, there's only grace, period. Bring your fears and insecurities. Let us marvel in the mystery. Let us listen each other to life with a deep, holy listening. Can you hear it? Can you hear it? That is the sound of the genuine within you. The spirit stirring near you, but if you don't show up, how can anyone hear you? Show up. Even if you don't know for certain, you may have the truth and healing for which this world is searching. In this grand universe, we are but small workers with a big purpose because of our hearts widening the circle. Hearts that are broken, hearts that are open, so a little light can shine through, a little hope for the hopeless. Wherever you go, simply know the spirit of this place goes with you. So go. Ready with sleeves rolled up, always growing, never fully grown up. Ready with all your heart, mind, body, and soul, simply to show up.
What a time. Every day we turn on the news to hear another life lost, whether it's a young child shot by random bullets or another black sibling shot at the hands of law enforcement or other authority figures. What a time to live in. We know this isn't new, but it's most certainly heightened in light of what we've experienced together the last 18 months. And so the question that I raise for you, friends, is, if we are concerned, how are we going to show it? It doesn't matter how much melanin is in your skin, how you identify. If we are concerned, it takes all of us to work together, or the change that we want to see takes too long to happen. So tonight, we hope you listen to this program. We hope you're inspired, but we also hope that you are called to action, to find that one thing that you can do, that one special thing that you can give that nobody else can give. Each choir doing things that you've never done before, using our music to change the world. And then we will overcome. The stage to tell us about Love Like Fire, which is the next piece that you'll hear featuring Imani Waters and Travion Dunlap and Devo and Joe and the choir.
Thank you so much, Phillip. When I first started writing this song, it was last summer during the uprisings after the murder of George Floyd. And just like so many of us, I saw the city light up in flames, and I needed to process what I was feeling in my body, and writing is the best way for me to process. And I began to reflect on fire. And I know oftentimes fire can seem dangerous and scary, and I also know that fire can also offer us light and warmth, and it can be cleansing and healing. So I wanted to lean into that possibility for healing and for collective liberation. And so I dug deep to craft the lyrics of this poem, and I had to also reach out to my friends, you know what I'm saying, that to see what they were feeling, what they were thinking, and I tapped into the spirit of some of those black spirituals that I would sing with my family growing up in church, but I also put a modern spin on it to speak to our times. How can we use that fire as a way to light the path forward to collective healing and liberation, to where we all can breathe? And that's what this song is about. Goes out to all those whose love for healing justice doesn't wax cold, but only grows stronger with the breath of our ancestors.
I wish somebody so would. Yeah, catch on fire. I wish somebody so would. Yeah, burn it somebody so would catch on fire. I wish somebody so would burn it till we're healed and gold like fire.
Some run from it, some run to it. How you just now feeling that fire when we already done been through it? Some burn flash crosses and Bibles. Inspire brothers and saddles to fight for survival. Some share blood with fire from rising rivals. This fire comes because it's time to ignite a revival. This that Holy Ghost fire. So that all make your whole soul light up. Inspire the sick and tired to get up and fight for their life till there ain't no more. Sick and tired, not bound on coerce, but a gentle guiding force like a rival torch giving light and warmth. Not a riot, but a rise from love is a deeper body source. Come on, hit me with the chorus.
I wish somebody so.
Yeah.
Catch on fire, catch on fire, catch on fire.
I wish somebody so would.
Catch on fire, burn it till we're healed and whole.
I wish somebody so would.
Catch on fire, catch on fire, catch on fire.
I wish somebody so would.
Catch on fire, burn it till we're healed and whole. Let it burn.
Some things we need to leave and some things we need to retreat.
Let it burn.
This is an upheaval, then there's some things we need to upheave.
Let it
If we're
burn.
limited or freed by our beliefs, then what do we even believe?
Let it burn.
And what means are necessary to let all people breathe?
Let it burn.
Burn our grief and rage to the flames of liberation.
Let it burn.
Burn our guilt and shame into the flames of reparations.
Let it burn.
Each flame is an anguish that can't be tamed and contained in our language. It burns away all our chains and cages till all that remains is love. What needs to die and why won't we let it? What needs new life to be resurrected? And why must death always be a prerequisite? This is the process of perfection and we're not perfected yet. It may burn, but it's not meant to burn us. It may hurt, but it's not meant to hurt us. It's meant to free us from our burdens, refine, purify, and purge us until the fruit-bearing roots beneath the surface reemerges. No more water, it's fire this time.
I wish somebody so would catch on fire, catch on fire. I wish somebody so would, yeah. Burn it till we're healed and whole.
I wish somebody so would.
Catch on fire, catch on fire, catch on fire.
I wish somebody so would.
Catch on fire, burn it till we're healed and whole.
It's the breath of our ancestors that we breathe as we shout out the names in our streets. Their blood flows through our hands and our feet, no longer waiting for the chance to be free.
Burn it till we're healed and whole.
You are listening to Voices Rising, a choral affirmation of Black lives. This live concert is coming to you from the stage of Orchestra Hall in Minneapolis. The opening set in tonight's performance included Concerned from Peaceful Warrior by Billy Taylor and Joe Davis and the Renaissance performing Love Like Fire. One of the words that you are going to hear many times this evening, one of the words that you are going to sense is the word collaboration. A number of youth choirs have collaborated in tonight's performance. Their presentations were recorded earlier. Members of the Minnesota Boychoir, Angelica Cantanti, Minnesota Youth Chorus, and ComMUSICation perform Mark Miller's Love Has Broken. Miller is a theologian and a musician from Yale University. You're also going to hear Standing Stone.
Love has broken down the wall. Love has broken down
I counted more than 100 young people standing on the stage at Orchestra Hall for a pre-recorded performance that is a collaboration in tonight's Voices Rising, a choral affirmation of Black lives. Members of the Minnesota Boychoir, Angelica Cantanti, Minnesota Youth Chorus, and ComMUSICation, singing Mark Miller's Love Has Broken Down the Wall and Melanie DeMoore's Standing Stone. For those of you who can't watch tonight's performance on the Chorus America YouTube channel, let me tell you that there is an extension, an 18-foot extension on the stage of Orchestra Hall in downtown Minneapolis. And there are two sets of adult choirs, one on the stage, socially distanced and masked, and another set of singers just in those front row seats, also socially distanced and masked. Just ahead, you're going to hear the combined choir sing Hold Fast to Dreams by Joel Thompson. The piece is a choral setting of a text by Langston Hughes. But to start this next set, the wonderful Joe Davis begins with another original spoken word piece. Here is Dreamer's Manifesto.
This song right here is called Dreamer's Manifesto. Goes out to all my dreamers out there who got a dream in their heart. No matter what the world tries to tell you, you want to keep that dream alive. So when they try to tell you that you can't, that you won't, you look them straight in the eyes with every ounce of courage you have in your heart. You tell them this. You say,
Dream big, dream like a little kid. Dream you can do things that nobody ever did.
you gotta dream, 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 dream. Come on, say.
Dream big, dream like a little kid.
Come on.
Dream you can do things that nobody ever
You gotta
did.
dream, dream,
Yeah.
dream, dream, dream. Yeah, there's a fire deep inside us. Yeah, our heart is roaring like a lion. Yeah, our spirit soaring like an eagle with our fish in the sky. Screaming power to the people. We know good will triumph over evil. That's why we reach high, even when we feel low. Yeah, that's right. This here is our credo, mandated to be greater than even our greatest hero. No one's as special, unique, and as rare as you. Go on to be the best you can be. I dare you. Don't let nothing stop you. Don't let nothing scare you. Don't fear to die. Don't fear to live. Don't fear to rise. Don't fear to fall. If there's any fear at all, any fear that's true, it's the fear that you might really do what you came here to do. Yeah, if y'all really think that's true, I want y'all to rock with us right here. You gotta keep dreaming big, y'all. We say,
Dream big, dream like a little kid. Dream you can do things that nobody ever
we gotta
did.
dream, 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 dream. Come on, say.
Dream big, dream like a little kid. Dream you can do things that nobody ever
We gotta
did.
dream, 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 big. They think I'm sleeping, but I'm scheming like I'm a genius, seeking lifetime-less achievements. You see, diving, mountain climbing, flying higher, skyward wingless. Unifying dreams to real life, till it feels like they're seamless. It seems as if we've been jaded and deceived with trading purpose and meaning with comfort and convenience. But for what it's worth, I'm searching for creative freedom to make something out of nothing, something we can make believe in. Cause I know it takes a child like faith to birth and raise a dream when the haters always try to change the angels and the demons. But don't choke down the hopeful passion that you have inside. Don't try to tame the fire till its flame has died. No, dream wild and awake with your bright eyes open wide. Cause life is but a dream only if we dream alive. If you got a dream and you gonna keep it alive, let me see you. Together we all gonna rise. Come on, we say,
Dream big, dream like a little kid. Dream you can do things that nobody ever
we gotta
did.
dream, 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 dream. Come on.
Dream big, dream like a little kid. Dream you can do things that nobody ever did.
Dream,
Yeah.
dream,
Oh.
dream, dream, dream big. We the dreamers, in order to form a more perfect universe, promise to dream big, to begin our revolution, a rapid revolution envisioning big dreams, giant dreams, gravity-defying dreams, traveling faster than Dreamcatcher could ever capture our dreams, surpassing that which is heard, eyes have seen. We will dream triumph out of tragedy. We will dream a masterpiece. Together, you and I will dream everlastingly. Together, you and I, we will always dream. We will always dream
can be your dreams too.
Come on.
If you still believe that dreams can come true, yeah. My dreams can be your dreams too. If you still believe, if you still believe,
Yeah.
my dreams can be your dreams too. If you still believe that dreams can come true,
Gotta feel it,
yeah.
y'all.
My dreams
Yeah.
can be your dreams too. If you still believe,
Check
if you
it.
still believe,
Yeah.
my dreams can be your dreams too. If you still believe that dreams can come true, yeah. My dreams can be your dreams too.
We got a dream.
If you still believe, if you still
Dream. One more time,
believe.
say.
My dreams can be your dreams too. If you still believe that dreams can come true, yeah. My dreams can be your dreams too. If you still believe, if you still believe.
Yeah.
Free at last,
Dreamer's Manifesto with Joe Davis and Renaissance, and Joel Thompson's Hold Fast to Dreams. This is Voices Rising, a choral affirmation of Black lives, a live presentation from Orchestra Hall in downtown Minneapolis. G. Phillip Shoultz III is the curator and the conductor of tonight's performance, and joining me on the stage right now. Phillip, the question that we began this program with was, how does a choral singer, a choral organization confront the racism in our country and all of its manifestations? And from what I've heard so far this evening, I'm going to say the power of showing up is very important, and the power of dreams is very important. But there's got to be more than that, and maybe the word is activism. How does, in your experience, the word activism play into what a choral singer, a choral organization can do?
I'm glad you asked that, Steve, because we hear the word activism and we have a one-track mind usually. We see people with megaphones speaking profoundly, loudly, courageously. We see people taking the streets, and all of that is necessary, and it is a part of activism. But activism are small acts that make change. And so as choral organizations, one of the ways that we can be activists is to do what we're doing tonight, which is to have meaningful relationships with artists in our community that we want to get to know, and to amplify their platforms, to give them a space for their words to be heard, for their voices to rise, and then to join with them. So a lot of the program tonight came out of conversation with Joe and Daunte and Cantanti that you'll hear, and that's how I created it with the singers. So a lot of these performances have never been heard before because we created them together. So some of it's just listening to people that have often not been listened to. And as choral organizations, we have the power within our hands to determine who we're going to engage with. And that's the easiest way for us to be activists as choral singers, is to just break bread, develop long-lasting relationships, and then see what happens from there. Dream big.
So I've got another phrase in my list, the power to dream big, as you mentioned, the power of showing up, and the power of listening to voices that perhaps you haven't heard before. Absolutely.
And as a Black man, I grew up in this canon. So my voice, which is a Black voice and a Black experience, is different than those who did not grow up in the choral canon. And so even as a Black man in this space, I'm doing a lot of listening and building relationships with those whose experiences are different than mine. And the same is true for our Asian American Pacific Islander communities and all others. We all have work to do in this space to expand our intercultural competency and how we interact with each other. Listening is essential.
This next set of pieces includes a work called Hand in Hand and Say Her Name. And for those listening, they are going to hear what's typically called body percussion. Can you explain what that is?
Both of these pieces, we use our bodies as instruments in the piece. So to create rhythmic energy, to make the message that much more profound. Also, you'll see some poses and postures that you might recognize from the movement for Black liberation. And we all do it together to show our solidarity that we are standing together in this space.
And I'm wondering if you would introduce Daunte Rajasa. She calls herself a vocal activist from Minneapolis.
Daunte Rajasa, an amazing spirit, wonderful new friend. We've had about 8 months of connectivity now in relationship, working first with the VocalEssence singers of this age. And she sings for a variety of causes. But one of them is the one you'll hear tonight. She wrote this song after the murder of Jamar Clark here in the Twin Cities a few years back. And it talks about staying in the streets with my family until equality is seen, until justice is done.
G. Phillip Shoultz III is the curator and the conductor of tonight's Voices Rising, a choral affirmation of Black lives, coming to you live from Orchestra Hall in downtown Minneapolis. Here is Hand in Hand and Say Her Name.
The day gonna come when I won't march no more. The day gonna come when I won't march no more. But why must the same people and my brother
You're listening to Voices Rising, a choral affirmation of Black lives from Orchestra Hall in downtown Minneapolis. This particular set began with Daunte Rajasa, a vocal activist from Minneapolis, joined by about 100 young people in a collaboration of a piece called Hand in Hand, and then Alicia Lee's Say Her Name, live performance from Orchestra Hall. Voices Rising, a choral affirmation of Black lives, was put together by a consortium of 12 Twin Cities choirs from Minneapolis and St. Paul. The curator for this concert and the conductor is G. Phillip Shoultz III. And Phillip, while we use the word collaboration and have used the word collaboration throughout this entire evening, there's a new word for many of us, and it's co-creation or co-creator. We've been talking about deep listening, and you've mentioned the deep listening that you've done to put tonight's program together. Deep listening is very much a part of co-creation, but can you describe what co-creation is?
I can, Steve. And first, I want to say thank you to Alicia Lee, who I know is listening tonight. Thank you for that powerful piece, friend. It's such a privilege to sing and express that way. To your question, co-creation is when we stand together and we create the art in the same space. It's messy, it's chaotic. Everyone's voice is added in. We try things, we discard things, we experiment, and we arrive at something magical that's personalized for the people who are singing it, the musicians who are playing it. That's co-creation, and it's a beautiful and much needed process.
This next piece is a co-created work. It's titled The Other Side. Phillip, who is involved in this piece? And can you talk a little bit about how it was put together?
I can. Kyle Peterson, who many of you know from winning the Genesis Prize just recently with a beautiful premiere by Conspirare and Craig Ella Johnson, is a friend and a local composer. And right before the pandemic began, we collaborated on one of his other pieces, and we dreamed about doing something together. And the pandemic hit, and he called me and he said, Phillip, this was back in April of 2020. He said, I have an idea about a piece called The Other Side, where we can think about what happens on the other side of COVID-19. And I was like, that's great. Let's start working on it and figuring out what it looks like. And then George Floyd happened. And then we went through this crazy political season of divisiveness. And everything kept spiraling. Kids were on Zoom longer than expected. And so we realized there were converging pandemics. And so The Other Side became a space where Kyle gave us bones. He wrote a beautiful accompaniment and beautiful vocal lines, and then he set spaces up throughout the piece where the singers, we worked together to just create what they wanted to say about life now and the lessons that we've learned and how we're going to come out on the other side of all of this.
Here is The Other Side from a video presentation in tonight's Voices Rising, a choral affirmation of Black lives.
COVID, George Floyd, racism, Breonna Taylor, insurrection, depression, mental health, Zoom education, climate change, global warming, food shortage, wealth inequality, global panic.
On the other side of pain, we make sure they aren't gone in vain. But as he took over, we became mundane from day to day. I'm breaking the chain, cause no matter what you say, we'll let Corona get in our way. Rise up, come on, get up on your feet and rise up. We shoot to the breeze, you'll find that's when I had a victory. Cause together we're better than the impossible disease. No matter what we get in defeat. Words of a feather whenever you're falling underneath. Guarantee it's our reality. Please move, still me, I gotta be. The other side, will we be the same? Take back this, you can get better like to take, but you can't no retract, ain't no retract. Especially not an e-cat. Buses are hustling, everybody oversees that. Right in the cops, that's hard in the talk back. All black lives matter, 3 states, all facts. Try to stop and make a tree will rise. Ain't no case, you got a key, you'll find. Let's just up, beat down, hopping on a melody that will reach around sound. It's going everywhere, messing up, repeat it, I'm feeling it, but you better make sure that your voice is up. Everybody screaming, black lives matter. So that they know it's us.
The Other Side, a co-creation of Kyle Peterson and the young people who you just heard sing. I'm joined by G. Phillip Shoultz III on stage at Orchestra Hall in downtown Minneapolis for just another beautiful set from Voices Rising, a choral affirmation of Black lives. Phillip, as I heard this piece, The Other Side, the word that came to me was authenticity. There's a kind of authenticity that you hear from, these were teenage singers, and they were just really putting it out there. Something that must really nourish your heart and spirit.
It does. I believe when you give young people a place that's brave, where they can be safe and they can be vulnerable and they know that people have got their back, they can really say profound things that would never come to our minds as adults. And we can learn a lot from them, especially if we let them be amplified in the genres and the ways that they want to show up. Beautiful things can happen indeed.
We are coming close to the end of Voices Rising, a choral affirmation of Black lives. Again, live presentation from Orchestra Hall in downtown Minneapolis. Phillip, I want to let listeners know that there will be a kind of, for lack of a better term, play-by-play A kind of recap. You and I will have a chance to talk after this last set of pieces, talking about your impressions. I'll share my impressions. This next set begins with Joe Davis and Renaissance with a spoken word piece, and then there's a work called Rise Up. Talk about that.
Yeah, both of these help us to, if we rise together, we can be stronger than we've ever been before. And so Joe is setting the stage, reminding us that it's time for us all to raise up. And then as Javonta's song says, just rise to the skies like that phoenix and be all that we can be. So you're gonna hear things that take you to that almost the black church experience, leading us with a gospel rendition to send us away here encouraged and called into action.
Once again, from the stage at Orchestra Hall in downtown Minneapolis, Voices Rising, a choral affirmation of Black lives.
We must raise awareness as well as raise funds so mothers and fathers can raise families, raise daughters, and raise sons. And we can stop racist police from raising their guns. Dreams occur, not dreams deferred, no more raises in the sun. Let me see you raise your fist, you raise your consciousness to make this change come. Talk about a love so strong, even the dead will raise up. A love so strong, even the dead will raise up. Ha! Ready for peace or ready for war, we crown the king of dreams with a head full of thorns. A legend is born, his words are like bread to the poor. So live, each line is like breath to a corpse, reversing effects of post-mortem rigor mortis. Each verse, a metaphor for metamorphosis, different motive and intent. No Forbes list, celebrity endorsement. We're working towards a world in which ghettos don't exist. Everyone is rich, we're not so close from the goal within. Been writing since I could hold a pen. No book was my closest friend. Wrote poems and hopes, homelessness and war would end. I was so young, mind wide open then. Saw it all through a rose-colored lens until broken. But look in your eyes to me hope again. Dreams might be born again, so let me hear the chorus when your voice comes in.
Raise up my eyes.
Raise up my eyes, raise up my eyes, yeah.
To the hills,
To the hills.
to be healed.
To be healed, yeah.
Wake up my mind,
Wake up, guys. Wake up.
rising until the truth's revealed.
What time is it?
It's time to raise up.
What time is it?
It's time to raise up.
So what time is it?
It's time to raise up.
I can feel it in my heart, it's time. What time is it?
It's time to raise up.
So what time is it?
It's time to raise up.
So what time is it?
It's time to raise up.
I can see it in my mind, it's time. What I'ma do with 40 acres and a mule? Give me a spaceship and rocket fuel, so we can start a school on the dark side of the moon and spark a revolution through hip-hop and cartoons. Culture shock it to you like Shaka Zulu until we knock a tooth loose. Our rhymes like Tupac gave Dr. Seuss the juice. Mixed with the roots of soul, gospel, and blues, proving the truth. No excuse about removing the noose. Nothing but our shackles and chains to lose. Change the news story to a new story of a people who flew to new glory. The more we plant more seeds, the more we teach. So much more than what the world sees. The world needs world peace. Abolish for profit princes and military police. No disparity with solidarity. We sharing the cross. We been right here in the streets and we're singing.
Raise up my eyes.
Raise up my eyes. Raise up my eyes.
To
Yeah.
the hills.
To the hills.
To
Ha.
be healed.
To be healed.
Wake up my mind.
It's time to wake up, y'all. It's time to wake up.
Rising until the truth's revealed.
Yeah. What time is it?
It's time to raise up.
What time is it?
It's time to raise
So
up.
what time is it?
It's time to raise up.
I can feel it in my heart. It's time. What time is it?
It's time to raise
So
up.
what time is it?
It's time to raise
So
up.
what time is it?
It's time to raise
I
up.
can see it in my mind. It's time.
Raise up my eyes up to the hills, up to be healed. Wake up my mind, rising until the
Some raise their hands for the questions. Some raise their hands for the answers. Who raises concern for the mother whose child was killed while raising their hands up? Who raises the taxes without raising the wages? When we raise our standard of education, when we raise our voices, raise the vibration. If it takes a village to raise a child, what will it take to raise the nation? If it takes a village to raise a child, what will it take to raise the nation?
Raise up my eyes up to the hills, up to be healed.
To be healed, yeah.
Wake up my mind, rising until the truth.
Y'all know what time it is. Come on, what time is it?
It's time to raise up.
What time is it?
It's time to raise up.
So what time is it?
It's time to raise up.
I can feel it in my heart. It's time. What time is it?
It's time to raise up.
Say, what time is it?
It's time to raise up.
What time is it?
It's time to raise up.
I can see it in my mind. It's time.
Spontaneous applause from the singers on the stage at Orchestra Hall in downtown Minneapolis for Joe Davison Renaissance. The piece is called Raise Up. I'm Steve Starrick, and I'll be joined by G. Phillip Shoultz III after this final piece on tonight's program. Tonight's program called A Choral Affirmation of Black Lives. This next piece is called Rise, and it features Javante Patton.
How you doing, Daunte?
I'm good.
You gonna close this out or you take us home?
Let's do it. I almost forgot the hand. To the sky and be all you can be. Oh, rise to the sky and be all you can be. So many people are homeless. So many families can't afford college. But we may not have all the answers, but they deserve better. So rise to the sky and be all you can be. Oh, rise to the sky and be all you can be. Say, rise to the sky and be all you can be. You got it. Sing, rise to the sky and be all you can be. Say, rise for our community, to end poverty, at every attempt fund black colleges over politics and the color of our skin. Reach down inside and give love a try. the answers, but they deserve better. Rise today, don't be afraid, and be all you can be, yeah. Oh, rise to the sky and be all you can be. Now clap your hands with me like this. We got to end the show right. If you're watching tonight, you can get up and dance or bob your head, but whatever you're doing, we got one last line and I want you to sing it with us. It goes like this. Hey! Never stop rising, never stop until we reach the top. That's all it is. Try to help us sing it at home. Everybody say, never stop rising, never stop, hey, till we reach the top. You got it at home. Let's try it one more time, real loud and strong. Say, never stop rising, never stop until we reach the top. We're having a good time. Take me to harmony right here. Everybody say, never stop rising, never stop until we reach the top. That feels so good. One more time, real strong. Say, never stop rising. Oh, never stop until we reach the top. That feels good. Just one more time. Everybody say, never stop rising. Never stop until we reach the top. Yeah. So rise to the sky and be all you can be. Say, rise to the sky and be all you can be, all you can be. Nice. Thank you.
You've been listening to Voices Rising, a choral affirmation of Black Lives, a live presentation from the stage of Orchestra Hall in Minneapolis, a consortium of 12 Twin Cities choirs put together by G. Phillip Shoultz III, the curator and the conductor for tonight's wonderful performance. I can't help but think to myself that the program should have been titled Voices Rising, a powerful choral affirmation of Black lives. Lots of words like co-creation and collaborate and activism all used this evening. There's the power of words, the power of showing up, the power of dreams, the power of listening, and the power of hope, all a part of tonight's program. G. Phillip Shoultz III is joining me once again from the stage of Orchestra Hall. And Phillip, I have to ask, it's one thing to plan a performance, it's one thing to make sure that all the pieces are in order and all the dominoes fall one right after another. But how do you feel? How do you feel right now?
Oh, I'm overwhelmed, Steve. I feel full, as my grandparents would have said, my cup overflows. It's just a beautiful expression of the power of the human spirit coming together to create something in short order that seems like we've been practicing for months, frankly. It was just really beautiful to soak it in and to see all these faces that are sitting around now because we didn't get off stage in time. So they're sitting listening, and just to feel the energy in the room, it's a beautiful thing.
When you do a performance like this, Voices Rising, a choral affirmation of Black lives, I can't help but ask, is this the beginning of a journey? Does it feel like the end of a chapter? You'll forgive me for asking, what's next? What's next for this kind of co-creation, this kind of collaboration?
Steve, I'm glad you asked that question because during this time of COVID, I've kind of discovered a new way to leverage skills that I have to offer, and that's conversations in this space around the country with lots of colleagues, whether it be elementary, middle school, high school, college choirs, community and professional choirs and orchestras, talking about this space, the acronyms. There's so many of them, right? DEIA, IAE, diversity, equity, inclusion, access, belonging, justice. What is it really all about? And I think this is the beginning, Steve. This is just, for us here locally, I feel like this is something that we are going to figure out, how does this live on and what does it look like as it, continues to expand. Like, it's nothing that, I believe sometimes we have to get out of the way and let things evolve rather than always trying to plan the steps out.
What does a program like Voices Rising, a choral affirmation of Black lives, what does it say about the health and the vibrancy of the Twin Cities choral community?
Well, it says that we really want to be allies, and then allyship turns into action accompliceship. If you looked at the stage, for those who are listening on the radio, if you'd looked at the stage, you know the majority of our Twin Cities choirs. You know what we look like. We know the majority of wonderful Scandinavians and German, Lutherans and other, we got a wide variety here, right? But our choral organizations are predominantly, white, as we say. One of my least favorite words to talk about people with one word, right? But in this space, we were able to bring in our siblings from the Black community, from the African American experience. The youth choir that was here was filled with a variety of melanin in the skin colors there. This is an opportunity for us to re-examine how choral music lives in the Twin Cities and how we can expand what people's perception of choral music is going to be. Beethoven Ninth is not going away. Annual Messiah Sings are not going away. Fauré Requiem is not going away, right? But there's so much more that we can do to really reflect the people who live in the Twin Cities if we take time to develop those relationships and then be willing to create new art together. Who knows what new genres of choral music will emerge? I really believe that. And I think the health of the Twin Cities, what it says about the health of the Twin Cities is this. We are here. We are wanting to be active, and we are wanting to make things better because we know right now, Steve, things are not well in the Twin Cities. Things are not well. There's still a lot of healing that needs to happen, but the healing's not going to happen until we start listening to each other and stop talking around each other. And that's happening on all sides.
Phillip, you have the microphone. I don't want to put you on the spot, but you get the last word. What is the last word?
The last word is that, I get to be on the podium and my name is out there for this program. But there were a lot of people who made this happen. And I really want to call attention to all of the executive directors, Bob Peskin with the Minnesota Chorale, and Audrey Riddle with Angelica Cantanti, and Joe Heitz with Cantus, and Kevin Stocks with the Twin Cities Gay Men's Chorus, and my boss, Marianne Ofterheide with VocalEssence, and Martha Kuhnau with Magnum Chorum, and Tina Meckel with National Lutheran Choir, and Ahmed Andals, I can never say Ahmed's last name right there. Ahmed, forgive me, my buddy, and I'm not going to try because I'm just speaking too fast, with Border Crossing right now. All of these executive directors really believed in this, and I forgot Ava, who's the operations manager with the singers, and my dear friend Matt Culleton with the singers as well. All of these executive persons believed in this. Mark Johnson with the Minnesota Boychoir, Sarah Zanussi, now Georgina, and Carrie Shunskas with ComMUSICation, right? The list goes on because we had so many collaborative partners in this. We sat in Zoom for hours talking about this and dreaming this up, and this would not have happened without that collaborative effort, without these wonderful artists like Javante and John and Joe Davis and Jayanthi, Trey Imani and Devo, and without the help of Orchestra Hall also, Steve. They relaxed some of the protocols to help us to be here, to be the first major singing event here again. They're always wonderful friends. When you get the chance to come back to Orchestra Hall, come back because it's like a homecoming. It feels right to be here with live music. And last but not least, I have to thank my colleague Ethan Johnson, who is our production manager behind the scenes, just helping me to make this happen. So that's where I'm gonna spend the last word, is by just saying thank you to those who aren't on the podium, but who are essential in making this happen.
There are singers still on the stage at Orchestra Hall. Can you put your hands together just so that people know that you are there, and the people singers, please
Singers,
applaud yourself.
We want you to applaud yourself so that they know you're really here.
Phillip, thank you very, very much. G. Phillip Shoultz III, the artistic curator and conductor of tonight's program, Voices Rising, a choral affirmation of Black lives. Thanks to Ethan Johnson, producer and production manager. Michael Osborne was the audio producer Mike Pengra. I'm Steve Starrick. A shout out to the technical director at Orchestra Hall, Joel Mooney, and audio engineers Jay Perlman and Jim Fitzinger. This has been a production of Your Classical Minnesota Public Radio.